John here, Red Barn Finds. We are working on an 87 Porsche 944 today that has a bad negative battery ground cable. So we're going to go ahead and change that and hopefully fix up this intermittent starting problem that we have.
So you can see that the insulation's all worn off and the wire looks pretty terrible. First off, we're going to disconnect the negative battery cable from the battery. And then there's the body ground that's also connected to the battery terminal. That's a 13 millimeter bolt, so we're going to take that off as well. Next, I'm just going to disconnect the oxygen sensor and any of the other sensors that are in the way. And then we're going to take the oil filler cap off because it kind of gets in the way a little bit. We'll fill the oil filler tube with a rag so we don't drop anything down there. And then I'm going to loosen up the hose clamp for the heated control valve hose that is sitting right on top of the nut to get the ground cable off. So we'll just pry that off. And then I'm just going to move it out of the way, and then you'll see the bolt, the nut underneath there that holds the ground cable on. So here it is, 13 millimeter nut and a washer underneath there. I'm going to break that loose. Just try not to lose the nut. And then there's a ground strap for the wiring harness that's on top. We'll take that off. And then I find it's easier to remove the ground cable with a pair of long needle nose pliers. Now this is probably the hardest part of this whole project, is cleaning the block where the ground cable goes. You want to try and clean it down to bare metal as best you can. Now you don't need to do this, but I find it makes it easier to get the cable out. So I'm just cutting the cable. Make sure you cut the right cable. And then we can pull out the ground through the grommet in the little firewall there. And it just makes it a little easier to get it out.
So here's our original one. This one purchased from Parts Geek. And it's a little smaller gauge. And one of the things that I'm not too thrilled about, this little extra leg that grounds to the body on this new one is really small gauge. So what I did is I took a piece of heavy gauge wire and put a couple of ends on it, soldered it, and we're going to go and just put this on here so we have a good solid heavy gauge body ground in addition to a engine ground being this end.
All right, and there's the 13 millimeter nut holding that on. And then here's the body ground with that 13 millimeter bolt all in place. Then I'm just going to reconnect the O2 sensor, all the other sensors that were disconnected, and then zip tie it all back to the wire loom. And now we're just going to give it a go. Check to make sure everything starts up.